Okay, grade 12s. I have a solid geometry question over here. I took this question from the JPEGD workbook for grade 12. So as you can see there, this is page 65. Okay, so obviously before you start drawing, you have to read the instructions and you can start planning. After that, you can start planning. So I'll just read the instructions quickly. Given, that means they gave us something. So given is the front view of a right triangular pyramid and a right regular hexagonal prism. So if you look here, we have two solids. We have the triangular pyramid and the hexagonal prism over there, right? Okay. Point number two, the top view of the pyramid and the axis of the prism. So the top view of the pyramid, where is it? It's right there. But we are not given the top view of the prism, but we are given the axis, right? Okay. Point number three, we are also given an auxiliary view of the prism, and also we are given the cutting plane AA. So where is the auxiliary view for the prism? The auxiliary view, it's right there, and the cutting plane AA, where is it? It's right there. So as you can see, the cutting plane passes through the two solids, right? Okay. So that's what they gave us. So specifications, the prism leans against the pyramid. As you can see there, the prism leans against what? The pyramid over there. So that means the, the prism, it's touching what? The pyramid right there at the top point there. Okay. Both solids are cut by the cutting plane. Okay. Instructions: draw to a scale 1:1 the following views of the two solids. So we have to draw the given front view, a sectional top view, a sectional left view, and also the true shape of the cut surfaces, right? So we are given the front view. Where is the front view? And remember, solids are always in first angle, right? The top view will be at the bottom, and then next to the top view we'll have the front view, which will be at the top. So at the bottom we have this view. So this is our top view, and this is our front view. So our top view is right there. Then this will be our front view. Remember, solids are always in first angle. So the top view is always at the bottom, and then next to the top view we have what? The front view. Okay. We are also required to draw a sectional top view, sectional left view. Okay, so obviously we'll use the cutting plane, right? Okay, so now I can just start drawing my solid geometry drawing. We're also given some points there. They said, okay, planning is essential. Okay, show all necessary construction and projection. Show all hidden detail. So this is very important. We must show all hidden detail. Okay, perfect. So now I can just start drawing. But before that, obviously, I have to plan my answer or my drawing. So because we are given the top view there and the front view there, obviously, for me to draw the pyramid, I will have to draw the auxiliary view. So this top view, it's also my auxiliary view for the pyramid, right? So I can just start by drawing this top view of the pyramid in light construction, so that I can just project these points up so that I can have those points over there, right? Okay, then after drawing this pyramid, the front view, I can also draw what? This prism, but my reference line will be this one right there. So because why am I drawing the pyramid first? Because I know this prism leans against what? The pyramid over there. So if I have the pyramid on my drawing sheet, obviously it's easier for me to draw this part of the prism. Okay, So now I'll start with the XY line, and then I'll measure 20 millimeters going down, because I remember the scale is 1:1. Perfect. So draw my XY line over there. Okay, and then I'll measure 20 millimeters. Light construction, just like that. Okay, so obviously now I have this XY line and the line over there, right? So now let me look at this shape. This is a triangle, right? So all the sides are equal, and we are given that the sides are equals to 40 millimeters. So I can just measure, because I'm trying to draw this triangle, right? So I'll measure 40 on this line. So I'll just measure 40 millimeters here. So 0, 40 is right there. Okay, so because I'm drawing a triangle, what I can do, I can just take my my compass and measure 40 right there. Okay, so I'll put my compass on the point over there and draw an arc, and put my compass on this point as well, draw an arc. So where they intersect, that means it's the third point of the triangle. So now I can just draw the triangle in light construction first, because remember from instructions we have to draw a sectional top view. So that means we'll cut a section of this pyramid over here. Okay, and then what about the center point? This center point, for me to get this center point, what I can do is I can measure half of 40 from one of the sides, so which is 20 there. And then I'll just put my set square on that line and put this one right there, and draw just a light construction line. Okay, I will do the same thing from this side. Half of 40 is 20. I mark a point there. I'll put my set square on that line, and then I put this set square on top there. So I draw a line from that point there. So I have a center point. The center point is this one over there. Okay, so now that means I can just complete this top view of the pyramid. So I can just connect these points like that, and then this one as well goes there. Okay, so if you check, I have all three lines. There's three lines inside, so it's 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So now I'll have to label my points, right? Before I move to my front view, because now I have my auxiliary view there, I can just project all the points up, right? Okay, so now I'll just label the points. So I can say that this is point number 1, this is point number 2, point number 3, and then this point, because this is the highest point, I can just say this is the top point. It's point number T, or point letter T. So let me just write the T over here like that. Okay, so I labeled all the points. So what I can do now, I can just project these points up to this section where I'll draw my front view, just like that, and also this point down there like that. Okay, so now because I've projected all the points, that means now I have all three points, the base points. So obviously this point is right there. This is point number 1. Then point number 3 will be right there. So I can label the point 3. and point 2 is right there. Okay, so now let me just try and draw this pyramid. So what's the height of the pyramid we are given there? It's 45. So I'll just quickly measure 45 right there. So 45 will be there. And then I can just draw my pyramid there, just like that. So for the front view, we are just drawing the given front view without cutting it, right? So I can just draw this pyramid using outlines. So I'll use my highlighter. So please do not use a highlighter. You must use what? A pencil. So here I'm just using a highlighter just to demonstrate so that you can see my outlines. So now I'm drawing the pyramid just like that. Because the front view, I have to copy the front view exactly as it is, right? Because from the instructions they said I must draw the given front view, not a sectional front view. So the moment they add the word sectional, that means that view you must draw it cut. Okay, so now I have my front view for the pyramid. So let me now try and draw my prism. So I can't draw this prism without the auxiliary view right there, right? So what I can do now, I can just draw this line in light construction. This one, because I know it leans against the pyramid over there, okay? And then this angle, this side is 30. That means for me to draw this line, I'll use my 60-degree angle. So I'll use this 30 by 60 set square, but I'll use the 60 side. So I'll just take my pencil, draw construction line up to the XY line, just like that. And then I can just draw this base of the prism in light construction because I know it's 30. So I can just draw that in light construction, just like that. Okay, so now I can just draw my my hexagon shape there. Okay, so let me just say, if you just draw this, let me just put it here, sorry about that. So if I put my ruler there and I extend this line of the edge of the prism to the auxiliary view, you can see that this line goes to that point, right? Okay, so let me just mark that point over there. I'll just mark a point up there, right? Okay, and then from there, for me to draw this hexagon, I'll just put one of my set square, my 45 by 45 set square on that line, and then put this one. Let me just slide this 45 a little bit down there, okay, and make sure this ruler doesn't move. You have to hold this ruler so that I can just put my 30 by 60 over there, and then from that point I can just draw a light construction line going down, and then I put my 30 by 60 this side, draw light construction line going up, okay, and then from there, let me just move my drawing board. So the size of the hexagon is given, it's 28, right? Okay, so I'll measure 28 from that point, so it's 28 like that, and also on this line 28. Okay, and then from there, obviously there is a line that goes up, two lines, So what I can do, I'll put this 45 by 45 on that line, and then from there I'll just take this 30 by 60 and put it like this, and then draw a line going up, and also from that point a line going up. Okay, so from there I'll measure 28. Okay, so I'll put my ruler on that line and then put this one, then I can just slide this ruler to that point, so that point will be right there. Okay, so I'm almost there. So from there I can just take my compass and measure 28 just to get the last point of the shape. So I'll measure 28, and then I can put my compass at that point, draw an arc, and put my compass at this point, draw an arc. So where they intersect, it's a point. So I have a point right there. So now I can just connect the points like that, like that. Just like that. Okay, so now I do have my auxiliary view for the prism. So now what I can do, I will just project all the points down so that I can get these edges of the prism, right? Okay, so what I can do is I'll just put my ruler on that line there, and then I'll put this one on top there. So that means I'll just hold this ruler there and make sure this ruler doesn't move. So I'll just move this one, right? So I'll just move it up to that point, then I'll project that point down, and then I move the ruler again to that point, project that point down. Okay, put my ruler perfectly there. Okay, then I move my ruler to the last point of the shape up there, and then project that point down. Okay, so as you can see, now I have all the lines, these lines, and then now I'll have to go back and check what's the height of the prism. The height is given as 62, as you can see there. So I'll measure the 62 from this point going up. So mark 62 up there. So now I have a problem there. As you can see now, that means, so now I have a problem because the 62 is right there, and if I draw a line down, that line will go over the auxiliary view over there. Okay, so this is a problem. So but it's fine. What I can do, I'll just erase this part of the auxiliary view like that. And then I'll just have a half auxiliary view there. It's fine, I'll just use the top part, the half section there. Let me move my thing down. Okay, so now I have the thing, I have the prism, the front view. Let me just draw outlines. Just like that. Just like that. So I have in there, line there. Okay, so now I'll have to label the points. So remember the pyramid, I'm not done. This point over there, it was point T, so I'll just write the T over there. Okay, so now when it comes to the hexagon, I'll have to label the points from uh, the auxiliary view. So what I can do is I'll start with this point here. Let me just start with this one. This is point A, B, C, D, and then the point here will be E. So I'll just write the E right there, and then E, F, the F, I'll just write the F right there. Okay, because obviously I have to have 6 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, perfect. And then now I'll have to label my points from the front view. So at the top I'll just write the upper letters, the uppercase letters, the capital letters. So the B will be right there, then C, D, then back to E. So here I have C and E, and then here I have F, right? And then at the bottom I'll just write small letters. So I have A there, small letter A, small letter B and F, small letter C and E, and then here I have D. So here I have line AA, line BB, and line FF. Here CC, EE, and then here I have line DD. Okay, perfect. And then remember, I'm not done. I have to add the cutting plane and the center line over there. So the cutting plane, if you check there, is at an angle of 60, and this cutting plane passes through that point. So I'll use that point as my reference to draw this cutting plane, right? So okay, so I'll put my set square on the 60 side, just like that. Then I'll draw the cutting plane. Um, so I'll label my cutting plane A. Okay, and then let's add this is 50, so half of that line is 28,5. It's right there. So just draw center line there. Okay, perfect. So now I'm done with the front view. This is the complete front view, right? Okay, so now I'll try and draw the sectional top view. So now I'll draw the sectional top view, right? Okay, so how am I going to draw the sectional top view? first I'll have to project this points vertically down. So I'll have point A there. Just take that point down. Point B and F, C and E, and then there I have D, and then okay, let me just try and get this points on my top view. So I'll start with this point. Remember, we are looking from the top, so this point will be right there. So this is point A. I can just write A there, right? Okay, and then B. So B is not on the same line as A, right? If you check here, B is just right up there. So what I can do, I'll just take this distance, put it on that line, the center there, and mark somewhere there. Then from that point, I can just draw horizontal line. So point B will be right there. So this is point B. Okay, so now we move, because B and C, they're on the same line. So where is C here? C is right there. So B and C, they're on the same line. So I'll label that point C. And then D is on the same line as A. So I will just mark there point D. Well, let me just move my drawing up. Okay, so now I have C, D, and then E is on that line, and then I can just take this distance because E was somewhere there, right? So I'll just take this distance from point C to E there, but this is not like point E. Point E was supposed to be down here. Remember, this is what? A hexagon, right? So okay, I'll just take this distance because this distance is the same as the distance from here to point E down there for the hexagon. Okay, where is E? E is on that line. So from this center, from that center line, I'll just mark there. So this is point E. Okay, after E we have F. So E and F, they're on the same line. So I'll just have a line there. Where is F? F is right there. So this is F, right? So I can just connect those points. Obviously, it must form a hexagonal shape. So from C to D, then from D to E, F back to A. So I don't know if you can see the hexagon shape there. So this is the top surface, which is this one here. Looking from the top without cutting this prism, that means I was going to see the top surface like that, right? Okay, so now let me just get the points for the base, right? So I will do the same thing. I'll project all the points down like that, like that, like that. Okay, so because on this line I have A, then that means I have point A there, and then where's the other A? The other A is right there. I can label that point A. And then on this line I have B, and then where's B from the top view? B is right there, and then the other B will be there. So this is small letter B. Then from B we have C, C, and then C is there, and then the small letter C will be right there, right? Then D will be there, same line, like that. Then we move back to E again, E, so E will be right there, and then F, because we have F there, the other F will be right there, small letter F. And then I can just connect the points from A, B, C, D, E, F, back to A, just like that. So you see this shape there. Looking from the top, I will not see this shape. So that shape is because it's down there, it's the base, right? So I can only see the top surface. But now obviously we have the cutting plane there, so we have to cut the prism there. So if you look at this cutting plane, the cutting plane cuts the prism where? From this point. Let me use the other one. Let me use this color. The cutting plane will cut, it doesn't work. We'll cut there, and this line there, and that line over there. So the cutting plane will cut at this point, and this point from the prism, right? Okay, and then for the pyramid, the cutting plane will cut the pyramid at that point, this point, and the base right there. Okay, so now I'll start with the prism, because the prism is higher than the pyramid. It's like looking from the top, I'll see the prism, sorry, I'll see the prism first before I can see this pyramid. Okay, so now I'll start with line AA, right? Where is line AA? Line AA is right there. So as you can see, the cutting plane cuts the line AA where? At that point. So I'll just project this point down to line AA. Remember, now I'm trying to get the cut surface of this section of the prism. So looking from the top, for me to see the cut surface, that means I'll have to remove this upper portion. I'll have to remove this upper portion of the prism, and then I'll be left with this lower portion, right? Okay, so my first point is right there. So line AA, the cutting plane cuts there, and then where is line AA from the top view? Line AA is right there, so I can just project that point to that line. So this is my first point of the cut surface. Usually we start with the cut surface first before we can just draw the remaining part. Okay, and then I'll move to B. I have line BP. Where is line BP from the top view? Line BP is right there. So that means I'll have to project this point down, because this cutting plane cuts line BP right there. So where's the point? The point will be there, because this is line BP. So I have a point right there. Okay, then I move to line CC. As you can see, it cuts exactly at point C, so that means I have a point there. And then the cutting plane doesn't cut this section, it doesn't cut this section over here, right? And then I'll move to line EE now, because line DD, the cutting plane is not cutting anything there. So I'll move to line EE. Line EE will be down there, just down there. So I'll have a point over there. Okay. Then I move to line FF. So line A, not A, FF is right there. So I'll use the same line projection. So I'll have a point there. And then obviously back to line AA. We do have that one, is right there. So now I'll have to connect these points right away. I can just connect those points because this is the cut surface. I can even hatch that surface. So from here I'll have a line straight to this other point there because this is the cut surface, like that, like that. So looking from the top, the cut surface is this one, so I can just hatch that surface. Just hatch the surface there. Make sure those hatching lines are evenly spaced. The spacing must be even, must be equal. Just like that. So I have my cut surface. Okay, let me just okay, let me complete this portion now because this portion is still remaining, so I have to draw it. So now looking from the top, I'll see this section. Where is this section? This section is from point E to D back to C, from C to E, not E, from C to D to E. So I have to connect this. This is the top surface. It's the remaining part of the top surface there. So I can just connect like that. Okay, perfect. And then now I have this line DD, right? I can just draw that edge because I'll see that edge looking from the top, right? And I'll also see this edge right there because obviously this is a prism, so I'll see that section. And then here I can just connect those two like that. Can just connect, and then let me see, I have a the base, right? So now I'm trying to draw the hidden detail of the base. So I have small letter A there, B, C, D, E, F. So remember they said I must show the hidden detail, right? So this will be our hidden detail from the top view because this is the bottom base. Just like that. Okay, so as you can see this hexagon there, it's the bottom base, it's the bottom surface there. So okay, done with that one. And then remember I still have this edge there for line AA. Remember AA was cut there and we removed this section. That means I'm left with that line, and that line is hidden, so I can just add a hidden detail line there. Okay, perfect. Now I'm done with the prism. I can move to the pyramid, right? So now let me try and get the cut surface of the pyramid. Remember I'm looking from the top. For me to see the cut surface of the pyramid, that means I have to remove this portion of the pyramid. That means I'll be left with this lower portion here. So I remove this. That means I'll just remove this section from both solids. And then looking from the top, or from this solid, I'll just see this cut surface, and that cut surface is this one. I've drawn the cut surface already, so now I'll have to try and draw the cut surface of the pyramid right over there. Remember I have the top view in light construction, so I'll use those lines to come up with the cut surface. Okay, and please do not forget this pyramid is just below the prism, but obviously because we have cut the two solids here, I'll be able to see the cut surface. Okay, let's start with line T2, right? I'll start with line T2. The cutting plane cuts this line T2 at this point, right? So I can just project that point down. And then where is T2 from the top view? Remember, point T is right there, and then point 2 is right there. So I have a line T2 there, and then obviously I have to project that point down. That means I have the first point of the cut surface for the pyramid. So this is the first point, okay? And then I move to line T3. Where is T3? T3 is right there. So now I can't like get that cut surface using this point, because this is like a vertical line to that point right there. So I'll just proceed to the next point. Okay, so here I have, because the cutting plane now is cutting this line, and this line is line 1 3, but remember we have two lines here. We have line 1 2, which is this one there, and line 1 3 1 3, right? Okay, so let me start with line 1 3. 1 3 is right there, so I can just project that point down to that line 1 3 at the, it's the base. Okay, so this is my second point, and then 1 2 1 2 is right there, so that means I'll have a point over there.